You love me so much more than I could ever know. Your love is deeper than this world will ever show. And all of life's beauty shines around this moment now. The sky and the cliffs, they seem to change my life somehow. And I will never be the same, will never be the same. Whoa, I will never be the same, never be the same ever again. Here I am waiting, Lord, my life is just for you. Please unfold all the plans that you would have me do. And if all the world's just a breath and nothing's here to stay, and all of the love we feel will save us anyway. And I will never be the same, will never be the same. Whoa, I will never be the same, will never be the same ever again. love me so much more than I could ever know. Your love is deeper than this world will ever show. And all of life's beauty shines around this moment now. The sky and the cliffs, they seem to change my life somehow. And I will never be the same, will never be the same. Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Are we there? Are we live?
I think we are.
I don't know what's going on. It's not going live to Facebook. One of my lights is blown. It wouldn't let me bring us onto the screen. What is going on, Restream? But I think we're here. Maybe those in the chat can let us know if you can see both of us. And welcome to another SDAQ&A, where a former Adventist looks in from the outside. And former Adventist Andrea McMahon is my guest. How are you today, Andrea?
I am well. How are you, Peter?
I am going very well. I tell you what, your backdrop and camera and lighting is just getting better every time. And I'm hoping and guessing that pretty soon to your YouTube channel, Don't Eat the Haystacks, you're going to be doing some videos and live interviews, hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Oh, that's
Fingers
good.
crossed.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. It depends on my nerves, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah. Well,
so,
yeah. Well,
we'll see how it goes.
Oh, look.
Oh, that's better. Just set up my screen so I'm not looking off into the wild
nowhere.
ether.
Yeah. It looks like we're dealing with bugs in the system today, Andrea.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've got a light gone. It might just come back on any moment. One of the lights at the back went, and I can't get us going live to Facebook. So
it
looks like I'll try and share the link from YouTube into the Facebook group. I'll do that once we start. So tell us a little bit about today's topic, where, oh no, am I an apostate? It reminded me of a conversation I had with Gillian Ford, where she talked about people were calling Des an apostate because of the, so apparently if you leave the Adventist church but you're still a Christian, that you're still an apostate. So what are your thoughts on that? What led to this conversation today?
Well, I was over at Advent Defence League because I can't help myself. I go in the chat there.
Yeah.
Quite regularly.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. They know me there now. It's really bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, they talk to me about all sorts of things. So I've got 3 or 4 things I have to answer them. But this is the first one. They were actually telling me that no, you're not an apostate until you join hands with I don't know, the government in Rome or something. It doesn't matter. We've got the clip, so I'll be able to play that for you in a minute.
Yeah.
But it got me really thinking about, what really is an apostate when it comes to Adventism. And because I know that I would be labelled one, but they're trying to tell me that I'm not. But at the same time, the clues in their answer to me shows you all the different aspects of apostasy.
Yeah.
Shall we just get started
I
and play that clip?
Let's just get into it.
Let's play that clip.
Just before we do, I'm just pressing the buttons to make sure those that are at Facebook at least are getting the YouTube link. So I'm just checking that that's gone through, and we will begin. By the way, good to see everybody. Last night was a mammoth effort. Had a fantastic interview with John Rosier. it's gold. I think you were watching some of it too, and I highly recommend those watching, if you missed it, watch last night's program or yesterday's program with John Rosier, Hunting Heretics. That man is on fire. Yeah.
It actually works well with this subject as well. So much in there relates back to exactly what we're talking. Because you're a heretic when you're an apostate. You become a heretic and then an apostate. So all those heretics are still all apostates.
Yeah, exactly. And look, there we go. I think we can now begin. Over to you, Andrea.
Oh, apparently my hairstyle looks Jesuit-like, but anyway, I'll press play.
Did someone say Jesuit? Who says that? Oh, yes, that's Dexter. There was lots of Jesuit name calling last evening.
Yeah, as there should be. Yeah, it's really good. Anyway, I'm going to press play.
All right. Great question there. Thank you very much. Andy says, I left Adventism, so I am labeled an apostate. I don't know what that really means. But Andy, as we already explained, we're not saying that we're talking about in the context of Revelation 13, this is an event that is yet to take place. There are false Christians in every church, even now, as we speak, okay? Unfortunately, we even have that in Adventism. We have professedly Christian, professed Adventists in the church that don't really live what that even means. We're talking about they are apostate when they unite with church and state. Now, you would only be an apostate Protestant, Andy Mac, if you unite with the church and state to persecute those who keep the commandments of God. So no, we wouldn't call you apostate in that sense. However, we would say that you have you've left the truth, if I'm going to be frank with it, and I would implore you to reconsider that. And thank you for being here, because it's an opportunity for you to hear a response to the claims of the critics when they claim that we're not in the truth. So thank you for that. Okay, so I just wanted to make that comment, because critics like to say that, oh, Adventists say you're a Baptist, you're an apostate, or you're this and that. We're talking about events that are to take place in the future, but you do fall into heresy, I would say, when you start denying truths of Scripture and accepting things that are erroneous. And that I would say to repent of.
Yeah. So that got me thinking a lot, because really it's at best it's disingenuous to say what he said, because we are labeled apostates, and we are, there's all sorts of things that they say about us. But anyway, it got me thinking of what sort of apostates are there.
Yeah.
And so I went through and did a big search on what it's all about. And so we've got the alpha of apostasy, the omega, the Protestant, the apostate Protestant line, and then the internal apostates. When I say that, I'm really probably saying how a lot of people don't like the higher ups and what they're up to. And then there's the personal apostasy, which is pretty much me, because I've definitely, long since gotten rid of a lot of my Adventist beliefs, and a lot of them, I know now what I don't believe, and I don't believe Adventism. Yes. But anyway, quickly.
Can I just say something before we go on? Because just what Edwin said there, and by the way, if those guys are watching, one of the things I like about the Adventist Defense League is that they have a clear understanding of what their Adventism is. They speak publicly to defend it, and you know exactly where you stand with them. And a lot of the what I would say the Adventists that I grew up as, the more progressive kind of Adventists, it's very difficult to get them to really pin down what their Adventism is, and to get them to speak up boldly about it. So I just wanted to throw that in. But something Edwin said there, that he about the truth and hoping that you would get back to the truth. And Barry Beeden, just on the promo for today's program, I wrote, I said, is it when someone leaves Adventism that they are termed apostate, or is it when they leave Christianity? And he wrote back and said, I would say it is more to do with rejection of clear truth. All cannot see clear truth. And I thought, isn't that interesting? It's like it's not even about believing in Jesus or being a Christian. It's about a certain group of people defining what that truth is. And Edwin was saying there, glad you're watching because I hope that you can return to the truth. So that was a real clear demarcation, not about Christianity or Adventism, but that Adventists have the truth. And if you walk away from the truth, you are an apostate. Anyway, I thought I'd throw that in there.
Well, we've got an awful lot of clips, and the majority of them are for more, they're more the hardline. I know what my beliefs are, Adventist, not the that's not my Adventism Adventist.
Yes.
So some people will say, "Oh yeah, but those clips, that's not ours. That's not us."
Yes. Well, okay, then share with us what yours is. That's the frustrating thing.
Yeah. Well, even last night, I said something in the chat, and I don't remember exactly what it was now. It doesn't matter. It'll come to me later.
Yeah.
But it's doesn't matter. Anyway, that slide's been up for a fair while anyway, so people I think will realise it's an apostate is anyone who leaves something that they believed before. Christians, as if you go away from Christ, but with Adventists, and this is only my summation. This is my opinion. After all this study that I've done, that you've left the process by which Christ makes you sinless. That's, I believe, what it comes down to. And as we go through these clips, you guys can tell me if I'm right, wrong, or
interesting. That is
completely off.
Yeah, no, you've left the process by which Christ makes you sinless. Therefore, any other movement doesn't offer you that process. So that's why if you leave Adventism, you are walking into darkness.
Yeah. So I don't know what I've got next. I haven't really gone through. I made these slides, but I didn't have a chance to go through them completely. So we'll see what's next.
You're getting some compliments there too, by the way.
Oh. So lovely, thank you. So where am I? Yes. So let's face it, with Adventism, the big stuff is Sabbath, sanctuary, investigative judgment, spirit of prophecy, and as I said, from my perspective, the ultimate unnamed goal, which is perfection.
Yeah.
I think we can worry about that later on, but I have this is something from Ellen White. So I suppose I could read through it, but what I actually want, if it'll give it back to me, is the underline. So there's straight testimony, witness, the true witness, Laodicea, straight truth, and there are those who won't bear it, which is me because I left, and they will rise up, and that will cause the whole shaking. So let's have a listen to the next clip, see how it goes.
Selected Messages, Volume 2, page 380. The church may appear that it is about to fall, but it does not fall. It remains. while the sinners in Zion will be sifted out. This is a terrible ordeal, but nevertheless, it must take place. There is coming a time when it is going to appear that the Adventist Church has completely and totally dissolved. It will be shaken. Give you another one. To stand in defense of truth and righteousness when the majority forsake us. To fight the battle of the Lord when champions are few. This will be our test. It's Testimonies, Volume 5, 136. Again, the mighty shaking has commenced and will go on. All will be shaken out who are not willing to take a bold and unyielding stand for the truth. Early writings, page 50. Again, in the very midst of us will arise false teachers. Where? In the midst of us will arise false teachers, giving heed to seducing spirits, whose doctrines are of satanic origin. These teachers will draw away disciples after themselves. Creeping in on unawares, they will use flattering words and make skillful misrepresentations with seductive tact. Manuscript 94, 1903. Again, one selected message is 122. We have more to fear from within and from without. We have always had a kind of vision in our minds that the wagons would come down the streets clanging their bells and picking us up and shoving us in. We don't have half as much to fear from that as we do from within.
Yeah, so I chose that one because it used a lot of Ellen White quotes and pretty much tells you what apostasy is in a nutshell. And anytime you want to say something, Pete, don't worry, go for it.
Yeah, no,
but
I'm just listening, enjoying.
But these things are, well, what I'm thinking is probably for closer to the end when we look at how this sort of stuff affects you. You know, I've been in tears a couple of times thinking about the stuff that these people think and the human cost of it. But anyway, here comes another one. The end of this one shocked me, but here it is.
Here we are informed the message of the true witness will have its effect upon the heart of the receiver and will lead him to exalt the standard and pour forth the straight truth. But unfortunately, not all the Laodicean class will respond positively. We read, some will not bear the straight testimony. They will rise up against it. And this is what will cause a shaking among God's people. There will be a class who will not bear the message, unfortunately, of the true witness. This class will rise up against it. And this very act of rising up against the message will cause a shaking among God's professed people. The results of this shaking will form two parties: those who accept the message on one hand, and on the other, those who reject it or rise up against it. Clearly then, the message or messages will test Jehovah's people. The messages of truth, or the truths of God's word, are a means to carry out the work of the third angel, the purging work. The task of separating or gathering some for the heavenly garner and bind others in bundles to burn them.
So,
Wow.
burn them.
Burn them.
You know, I keep forgetting how actually bad.
Yes, I know. Yeah, and Dexter Dexter just commented, listen carefully, the speaker is not making a single biblical quote.
No, it's all about Ellen White. It's all about her and Yeah, anyway, next clip. This one's
Yeah,
a very,
wow.
very short one.
It's really a denial of the gospel.
Yes.
Because you're denying the good news that Christ can keep you from sinning.
Yep.
So that one, you know, I don't know what it is, but in some ways I think that those gospel style, that's not my Adventism, Adventists, they believe all this stuff. Yeah, well, it's your influence, Peter.
Yeah, I think I coined that term. You know, and so far people saying it to me, that's not my Adventism, are coining it, but I kind of brought it into our bingo game.
You did.
But so to me, all the people you've presented so far, Edwin Cotto, Hoffman, that other guy, this guy, these are the real Adventists. Now, I don't mean that in the sense that you can define any kind of Adventism you want, be a cultural Adventist, do that, whatever you want. But whatever you have that is different to what these guys say is something new. It is not even progressed from. It is an add-on. It's a granny flat. It's an extension on the home. It is not a progression. And I you know, that's in many ways why I like that these guys speak. So I don't agree with them, but because they speak so forthrightly, and they have Ellen White's material to back them, they have source material to back them, they have top-level leadership to back them, and they speak boldly. And as I was saying to John Butler yesterday, Dr. Jonathan Butler, a fantastic interview as well. I really enjoyed it. That these progressives, that's not my Adventism kind of Adventist, need to actually start some kind of independent ministry where there's none. I don't know of any.
Because
And
they're cut off.
they cut off. Look at the one project.
They're cut off.
The one project, we're going to really, influence, and then they don't, because they are literally cut off and not supported.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And what are your thoughts in, you and I have chatted a lot over the last 12 months. What is going on? Even yesterday in the interview, the Progressive Adventist, there's something very, Ellen White doesn't claim to be a prophet, and she even said, hey, test all things to the Bible, and that's what we should be doing. Well, okay, but the church is not. Your main vehicle of transport, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, is not heeding any of that advice. And I don't think Ellen was really meaning that anyway. What do you think?
Sometimes I think they're hedging their bets because, when the Sunday law comes in, they're sort of half sitting in the right place. That's what I remember in the chat yesterday, is that, they haven't denounced the investigative judgment. They still believe that Christ is more important. The cross may be more important, kind of, sort of, iffy. I'd love them to define exactly what their belief is and how it is different from these hardliners who know what they believe, who have it exactly where it is and where it should be.
Like these guys that you're presenting today, they're not presenting word salad. Whereas the Progressive Adventists, once they start talking, I start going, what are you talking about?
I tried to get some clips out of some of those, and I couldn't get them. I couldn't find any clear, defined clips.
Yeah.
With these guys, I can find clear, defined clips.
Yes.
But
yes, exactly.
With the halfway betweeners, and
halfway
even
between us. I like it. The halfway between us. I'm going to add that to bingo. Halfway between us. The fences.
Yeah.
Well, they come across very weak, actually.
They don't know what they believe. They don't know what they believe. And I was one of them,
I literally was about to say, I was one of them too. And I try and think back into that mindset. And I think I was the person saying, hey, well, I'm making a choice and I can choose to be an Adventist and I just want to focus on Jesus. But Father, all I want to do is sing. That kind of mentality. There's a real denial going on. And we get to bravely say, oh, we don't believe that investigative judgment anyway. Oh, let's focus on Jesus. There's a real cognitive dissonance that just...
There is, but that's the worst bit.
Frank Merendino was saying on, I think, the promo for today, that there's a huge part of the Adventist apologist brain dedicated to somehow justifying, rationalizing, defending Ellen G. White.
Yeah.
And
but
all of them are defending Ellen White. All of them are defending, even the liberal progressives. They're defending Ellen, their perspective of her.
We can't forget the cultic brain mind control stuff and the fear that's in the pit of their stomachs either.
Yeah.
It's, I've been able to empathize so much more with Adventist relatives and, my parents, because they were raised in a cult and their parents were raised in a cult, and I know that we, a lot of the times we concentrate on the actual absurdity of the doctrines, but it's more than that. There is that secular cultic aspect to it as well. That's mind control and every time, it's a pure miracle anytime anyone comes out of Adventism, and that's why I celebrate it so greatly. And that time when I was driving down the road with the beautiful carry trees, massive things on the side of the road, beautiful clear blue dams and green grass, and all of a sudden I met Jesus.
And it's like,
I have been a Christian all my life, and it wasn't until then, a year and a half or so ago, that I realized I was never a Christian until now. So it's mind-blowing.
Just want to bring up something that Jane said, and I hope Jane comes on the show soon. My mother told me she was glad I was single, childless, and unmarried, so I couldn't take my non-existent spouse or children to destruction. And it's like you said, it's almost, it feels innocuous in many ways. And there's so much... so the progressives are very much, you hear one thing behind the scenes, you hear something publicly. I know in all my talks with Gillian recently, that's the theme. These guys would support Des behind the scenes, almost contribute to bringing him down in public. And that, even I was doing that in the sense that, behind the scenes, I would criticize the investigative judgment, and publicly I wouldn't defend it, but publicly I would say, stay an Adventist, be an Adventist. We can bring about change. I became an instrument of the people who had become an instrument, who had also become, it's like passed on. And these guys, Edwin Cotto, you talk to him behind the scenes, you talk to him in public, he is the same person. I don't agree with his conclusions, but I'm tired of being told behind the scenes one thing and then something else publicly. And it struck me even last night with John, who, honestly, if you watch that program last night, I don't know how anyone could remain a Seventh-day Adventist. And yet it occurred to me afterwards, John is still a Seventh-day Adventist. Gillian has often said, I would like to be an Adventist if it was the kind of Adventism that they both see. And many people that have criticized me for attacking, I'd like to say I'm challenging, not attacking, wrote to me last night and this morning, what a powerful, wonderful program and that John was presenting. And I'm thinking, what he just said then last night, it surely decimates any notion you have of Adventism ever becoming what it could have been. But I don't get that they're willing to kind of see the good in what he's saying, which I do too. but not see that it ultimately destroys every facet of Adventism's beliefs and hopes. And yet they remain positive. And I'm doing an interview with him next week. He's got an essay called What Adventism Could Have Been. I'm very much looking forward to that.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting.
Yeah, but there's
That'll
this
be really
kind of duplicit nature within Adventism that makes the fundamental traditional Adventists quite aggressive, and it makes the progressive Adventists duplicit, not duplicit. They speak with almost lying in a way, where they'll tell you one thing behind the scenes and something else publicly. And
I was
so
going to say forked tongue.
Forked tongue, yeah. Well, they're creating a church where there's either aggression or lies. And as Jesus says in John, I think, people will know me because of the love you show to each other. He's talking to the disciples. And if you look in Acts, when they had that first gathering of the believers and the apostles, there was much joy. There was much love between the people there, Within Adventism, you don't see that love. You don't see the Jesus. You don't see the gospel of the Bible. You just see aggression or strange word salad lying.
Oh, don't worry, with some of the clips that we've got today.
Let's keep
A
going.
lot of these clips are things that people will know and remember, but it's, I think, a really good thing to have a little bit of a reminder.
Yes.
Anyway, this one, I've just skipped an Ellen White quote.
Oh, don't
You
skip
don't have to worry
anything.
about her. Oh, okay, we'll go back here. So Ellen, in
Push for
Testimonies to the Church, not one of us will ever receive the seal of God while our characters have one spot or stain upon them. It is left with us to remedy the defects sorry, I've lost it already. It is left with us to remedy the defects in our characters, to cleanse the soul temple of every defilement.
Yes, that's pretty clear.
But we are not a works-based church.
Yeah.
It is left to us, but we're not a works-based church.
What do you take when the progressives keep wheeling out these old excuses that, well, she changed a lot, and by the time she died, she probably wouldn't have said it that way?
Why didn't she renounce her books?
Yeah.
Why didn't she repent of what she had said in the past?
In fact,
why did they cover up the shut door instead of why didn't they, throw out, repent of the shut door instead of covering it up?
yeah.
Tell me all these things.
And in fact, near her deathbed, she spoke of how she wanted the great controversy to be read in every home and go around the world. So, and that her testimonies also were to be an ongoing guide to the people. Well, that's one of the testimonies right there.
That's one of the testimonies right there.
No, not one of us will ever receive the seal of God while our characters have one spot or stain upon them.
Exactly.
Oh, goodness.
So anyway, this leads us to the house of cards of Adventism.
Brilliant presentation, by the way. You've done so well, so good.
Oh, it's called getting a. Canva has so many beautiful
templates.
They're just amazing. I don't really know, but I have a feeling this is the clip where, well, it is. It's the House of Cards. Once you lose one of the Adventist distinctives, all of them fall away. And this is from their own mouths.
There was an attack upon the sanctuary doctrine and our position concerning prophecy, the day-year principle, which I will discuss tomorrow. I hope that remark isn't too heavy for you, but you'll be here tomorrow. You'll understand what we're talking about. And as a result, as a direct result of an attack upon the sanctuary. You cannot attack the sanctuary without attacking the ark. And you can't attack the ark without attacking the law. And you can't attack the law without attacking the Sabbath. That all of this is woven together so tightly that if you destroy the sanctuary, you destroy the law and you destroy the Sabbath in the package. You can't get away from it. And because this happened in Battle Creek, and it was only just a little while before all of the people who were administering the Battle Creek Sanitarium were all Sunday keepers.
So there you go. It's the slippery slope. As soon as you let go of one Adventist distinctive, you've taken on the mark of the beast and started going to church on Sunday. So,
Yes. Oh dear.
Yeah. So anyway, the Alpha and Omega of apostasy.
Mm-hmm.
So these, in some ways, these can be as a person or as an idea. And so in the book Living Temple, that is the book from Kellogg.
Yes.
That so you were talking about how all these books, it started back at Kellogg when they threw out books and
There's the book banning.
Yeah, there's the book banning. It started long ago. In the book Living Temple, there is precedent. These glasses aren't helping me much, are they?
They
In the
look
book
good.
Living, thank you. In the book Living Temple, there is presented the Alpha of deadly heresies. The Omega will follow and will be received by those who are not willing to heed the warning God has given. And then, be not deceived, many will depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. We have now before us the Alpha of this danger. The Omega will be of a most startling nature. Well, that did have a picture there of the Living Temple, but it's somehow
of the actual book, was it?
Fall away, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so let's hear what some Adventists think about Kellogg.
I believe.
So to define what the Alpha is, I want to share a couple of quotes and some of the context and history in early Adventism. One of the challenges that the church was facing was in that time, John Harvey Kellogg had written a book called The Living Temple. And in that book, there were many pantheistic ideas that were being presented. One of the things that was particularly singled out by Ellen White was she said that in Living Temple, the assertion is made that God is in the flower, in the leaf, in the sinner, but God does not live in the sinner. The Word declares that he abides only in the hearts of those who love him and do righteousness. God does not abide in the heart of the sinner. It is the enemy who abides there. And so part of what happened subsequently after the publication of the Living Temple by Kellogg was that you had this idea actually influencing even those who preached the 1888 message. So we see later on in 1900, for example, Waggoner teaching that Christ is in every man. He is in the sinner.
So here they're outright telling us that if we are still sinning, Christ can't be in us, but the enemy can.
Whoa. That's big, isn't it?
It really is, and this is why I wanted to go through this, because, when they say apostasy, in one frame earlier, we hear that we're going to be burned. And in this one, it says that if you have not overcome sin, you cannot, you've just got evil in you, full stop, and nothing else. Anyway, here's another one that's probably just reiterating that sentiment, I think. But here it is.
By saying and quoting the Apostle Paul and distorting the Scripture when he said, "What know ye not, that your body is the temple?" And so he made the body to be the temple, the sanctuary, by a clever twisting and a distortion of a text of Scripture that was not meaning to discount or destroy the doctrine of the heavenly sanctuary. So he said, God is everywhere. God is everywhere. Therefore, the sanctuary is everywhere. And he wrote the book. Let me tell you why he wrote the book. He wrote the book after the fall, after the burning of the sanitarium, and they needed money. And so the idea was to print this book, which contained deadly heresy. To print the book, sell the book, with his name on it, it would go everywhere, and take the profits from the book and rebuild the sand. That was the idea. Good business practice. But they took this book to the publishing committee, and the publishing committee of the General Conference voted not to publish the book. And they came within one vote of publishing the book. But Ellen White had declared against it.
Yeah. So, from my perspective, and again, this is my opinion, anyone, you know how Adventists use the word Calvinism a lot. And I think that when they say that, I don't think they always know what Calvinism is. I think that what they're actually saying is that anyone who believes that it is finished at the cross is gone.
Yeah.
They're apostate. They're apostate.
And yet the irony is that what an apostate position that is, to say that the atonement wasn't completed at the cross, and that 1844 it's now ongoing. It's not finished. It's incredibly blasphemous to say that.
Yeah, it's a big time heresy.
And by remaining an Adventist, you put your name to that, because that's the bulk of Adventist teaching, whether it's your Adventism or not. The main thrust of Adventism is to suggest that the atonement wasn't completed at the cross, and that's an absolute blasphemy. So by being an Adventist, you keep you're attaching your name to that absolute lie.
Yeah. And look, even now, I've got a bit of a sinking feeling in my tummy because my son just put in the chat that he's a Calvinist.
Disliking the name, though.
Yeah, but that Adventist, upbringing or, brainwashing, or whichever way you want to put it.
And I'd say to Gregory, what does that even mean, though? What does it mean? Share in the chat, Gregory. What does it mean that you are a Calvinist?
He'd probably say the tulip thing. I haven't done enough study into Calvinism yet to know whether I agree or disagree. But as I've said before, I know what I don't believe. I don't know what I do believe. I'm still stuck in John 16. I've been stuck here forever. I keep thinking I'm going to jump on out of there and believe something else as well, but it just doesn't happen.
But maybe there's a lot of good reason to just stay in that zone, because it's a lot more simple. And one of the things I'm loving about Good News Fellowship, which is on at this time tomorrow, is the learning. We all get there, and there's presenters who know more than us, and it's just so refreshing to just be listening and learning and not feeling you have to be making a decision, because you know the basics of your situation are sound and anchored, and the rest will follow in his time.
Yeah. So anyway, well, he's pretty much been named the Alpha of apostasy, along with others that believe similarly to him. But I think he's pretty much been made the embodiment
Kellogg.
of the Alpha. Kellogg. He's
Yeah.
been pretty much named
Yes.
the Alpha of
Yes.
apostasy. So guess who's the Omega?
Yes, exactly.
Unfortunately, we've lost the picture again.
There was a picture of one of his books, was it?
Yes, there was. Yes, there was. But
Yes, we got the picture,
anyway, let's hear what all these people think of good old Des Ford.
Testimony against these sentiments, Living Temple, contains the alpha of these theories. I knew that the omega would follow in a little while, and I trembled for our people.
So I guess the question is how does this relate to what we're seeing within the church today? You know, are we seeing a push for a belief system that establishes God in the heart of the sinner?
What I would say is that exactly what Ellen White spoke about in that quotation, speaking about this false theory, the living temple, Kellogg's ideas, I believe that same doctrine as within the church today. In Ellen White's time, the alpha of apostasy came through the medical missionary branch of the work, so to speak, with Kellogg and obviously the work that he was doing at Battle Creek. But the omega comes through a different branch, same heresy, that God dwells in the sinner. In other words, there's no victory over sin, that there's no need for the purification of the heart and mind, that in our sinful condition, God dwells within us. Now, that's not true. The statement is clear. Ellen White says it's the enemy that dwells in the heart of the sinner. The omega, I believe, when you look at inspiration carefully, the omega must come through a different branch than the medical missionaries. It must come through the theological branch. And I believe this is where Desmond Ford and Edward Heppinsdale comes into view, because they were prominent in pushing this idea of no victory over sin, that the sinner will be saved in sin. And that's a false teaching.
So I'll move straight on to this other one.
Now, Desmond Ford. Never has the doctrine of the sanctuary been attacked with such high academic credentials. Never. Dr. Kellogg attacked the sanctuary, but not with theological training. Only native genius. But Desmond Ford is not only a native genius, he has great academic credentials. And he's attacking the sanctuary. That's the major doctrine he's attacking.
That's true.
Yeah.
And look, I think to defend the Edwin Cottos and the Hoffmans and those other guys, the reality is the Ford theology, the progressive theology.
Yep.
What was his last words that he had said there? I can't recall.
I can only play the whole thing again.
No, don't do.
I haven't worked out how to do that yet.
But either way, it contaminates real Adventism. That they are right. This Alpha and Omega style apostasy, it does unravel, contaminate their belief system. And in many ways, it has so quite effectively. And the fact that the progressives feel that they can bring about even more contamination if we're all only patient, indicates that they feel fully justified in being the great Trojan horse. I view progressives as Trojan horse, not progressives. They've got a new theology, different theology. It's certainly a theology I would have agreed way more with than the Edwin Cotto and the J. Reynolds Hoffman Adventism, way more. But that being said, it is so different that they can't work in harmony together. And I just am astounded that the progressives think they somehow can.
Yeah, but Des went a lot further than a lot of these progressives, because they still like to hold on to certain doctrines that that Des completely wanted to get rid of.
Des was the last clear speaking person sharing his beliefs and ideas. He was polar opposites to your Hoffmans and your Cottos and your Standish brothers, but at least he was a voice speaking clearly what the progressive movement were thinking, and he was axed because of that. I doubt that Edwin Cotto and Hoffman would be axed for their bold presentations, which is another interesting concept to think about. But I can't think of any prominent Adventist leader that speaks so decisively and clearly as Des Ford. So there's 45 years.
Yeah. Well, he was. Oh, look, let's let Des tell us.
Yeah.
Not even a great mathematician. And almost all our dates, like 538, 508, 1798, 1844, they all come from Billy Miller. And he was wrong in all of them. He's wrong in all of them. There is no evidence of papal supremacy from 538 to 1798. That's just not true. Ask any historian. There was papal supremacy for 2 to 3 centuries, around the 11th century or so. It's just not true, all we said about 538 to 1798. That's a hangover from Miller, and Miller was wrong. All the stuff we said on the trumpets, French Revolution and Revelation 11, United States and Revelation 13, none of it's correct. When I walked with Cottrell around Tacoma Park in the 1950s and told him my problems with Adventist interpretation of prophecy, he had all the same problems. So he went to Elder Nickel. He said, "What do we do?" This one on 8:14, he said, "None of our scholars believe it." Nickel said, "Write to all the scholars who know Hebrew and Greek and ask them." All 27 came back and said, "You can't prove an investigative judgment or an 1844 out of Daniel 8:14.
As you said, he's the only one that says it's straight.
Yeah, look, can I just throw something in there? Thank you for finding that clip, because that leads to this. I'm trying to do a show on that very moment where Cottrell goes to the president and he says, "We'll reach out," and all the scholars get back to him saying, "Yeah, we can't prove that by the Bible." And then they actually have a committee which gathers for a few years, and they can't conclusively, without using Ellen White, present the Adventist teaching with the Bible alone. And no minutes were kept. It was just like, well, let's just disband that. And Mark Anthony writes, Peter Desmond Ford remained SDA. Do you consider him a Trojan horse? And I am not saying, I'm saying the ideas that you cannot prove. So this investigative judgment that Des is just saying you can't prove from the Bible, which is the bulk and thrust of the only Adventist unique doctrine, I'm saying that idea is a Trojan horse. It does unravel Adventism. So, Mark, I'm not sure what your point is. It is a new theology, and that new theology undermines, unravels, deconstructs the Adventism that was birthed in 1844 and consolidated by 1919. And it is clear that the new theology that the progressive Adventists push, that's not my Adventism, is destructive to the Edwin Cotto kind of Adventism. And that's why those guys fight so hard and have the Adventist Defense League really pushing back strongly. It's why the CBs, the Standish brothers, all of these guys push back against the Des Ford theology and the Cottrell theology and the new theology, because it undermines Adventism. It's a fact.
Yeah. Yep. So poor Des, he's sort of been labelled the Omega, among others.
Yeah.
But let's face it, he's the
Speaking
main
boldly
one.
and actually speaking biblically.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the whole point, isn't it? See, and this is again where I'm at. I don't know what I do believe, but I certainly know what I don't believe, and I don't believe the investigative judgment or any of that because I don't see any evidence of it in the Bible. But I certainly see evidence of it in Ellen White's writings, and I am no longer. I don't like Ellen White anymore. I actually dislike her now.
Yeah.
Someone's knocking on my door.
Well, if you want to check that, I'll just bring up a Danny Bell comment.
Do it.
I think he's criticized. Hey, Danny, good to see you back being engaged with SDAQ&A. And
Thank you.
But he says here, let's just ask the great Des. Yeah, we hear you, Des, the prophet of the bitter. There was no papal supremacy after 530 AD. Yeah, you sure about that, Des? Sad, a champion. So a bit of sarcasm in there, Danny. But that's all right. The fact is, we're not saying whether you agree with Des or not. Go for it. I would suggest that Andrea and myself probably, when we were Adventists, were very much more closely aligned with the Des theology. We valued more than anything his willingness to speak clearly and boldly his thoughts. And I respect the Edwin Cottos who speak boldly their thoughts. We are talking about a wishy-washy kind of Adventism, among other things today. And that wishy-washy Adventism needs to be more defined in sharing their thoughts and beliefs so as to galvanize what it is they even believe.
Yeah.
So the point isn't whether you want to criticize Des or not. He spoke boldly. And we missed that.
I was frightened of Des Ford.
Right.
When I was younger, because I was,
you were told he was evil.
I was growing up. Yeah, I was growing up in the 80s. But I was in the late 70s, early 80s. I was there as this young sponge, and man, they had the Sabbath school class that they disbanded because they weren't using the lesson, and they were just speaking Christ. And it just keeps it wasn't pleasant back then, to be perfectly honest. My aunt and uncle left the church over all of that. We were talking about us Gen Xers. We were right there at ground zero, and we were talking that perhaps that's why quite a few of us have now lately started coming out of the church, because we were there for all of that. And so when we start hearing the truth, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is that gets people out of a cult, because, as I said, it's just a pure miracle.
Yeah, I invited someone, and I often use the word high-level Adventist. What I mean often when I say that is they have been or are at a high administrative level.
Yeah.
And this is not someone I've ever mentioned before. This is a whole new person that I spoke to the other day, keen to have on the program because of they've retired and they are still Adventist, but they want nothing to do with speaking about it. And the person's exact words were, because I do now see it as a cult. And I've never heard a high-level former admin leader ever speak like that. They're often quiet or they don't say anything. And in his case, I totally understand. If he came out and said, I believe Adventism is a cult, he would lose all his kind of standing in the community he resides in. But I thought that was interesting that some people now are that have been at the heart of Adventism and at the heart of its leadership are actually now saying, yeah, it's a cult. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, let's face it. If they had taken on the label of cult and left it be, one second.
Yeah. Some good comments coming through here.
If they'd left it be and got themselves talked of as a cult in here, they wouldn't have half as many members.
Yes.
And but they would have none of the angst that's in the church now.
Yeah.
But saying that, every now and then it always comes up, like the 1888 stuff as well. So it's it's all interesting. I'm learning so much because I had no idea about half of this, 18 months ago, let alone, talking about Walter Martin and all the things that are going on with everything. But anyway, apostate Protestantism in Adventism. Apostate Protestantism means churches that left Rome but fell back by rejecting the Sabbath. They're seen as the fallen daughters of Babylon, Christians who preach grace but don't keep truth. This is something that I've always had a problem with in Adventism. They spout out these like truth, but what does that mean? Now I know it's Sabbath, investigative judgment, sanctuary doctrine, all culminating and leading to perfection before probation closes. And anyway, let's hear from these guys again.
It's really a denial of the gospel.
Yes.
Because you're denying the good news that Christ can keep you from sinning. Yep.
Oh my goodness.
This one shocked me. That's
This
why
is a fairly new
twice.
clip too, isn't it? It's a fairly new one.
Weeks ago.
That's
weeks ago.
Incredible. Young Adventists.
Yep.
Like I was told by a college professor recently that, maybe a year ago now, that and you've heard me bang on about it before, that my finger isn't on the pulse. And he said, no one believes that these days, especially the young people. Here's a table full of young people and saying it's an insult to Jesus and the gospel, saying that he can't act within you to keep you sinless. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
That's real Adventism right there.
Yeah. I was going to play that one 3 or 4 times, but
Can you play it again for me?
Oh, sure thing.
It's really a denial of the gospel.
Yes.
Because you're denying the good news that Christ can keep you from sinning. Yep.
The good news of the gospel is that Christ can keep you from sinning. That's Adventism in a nutshell. The good news is that Christ can keep you from sinning. That is the antithesis of what Christ was saying.
Doesn't that throw out everything that was
Gold.
said last night?
Yes.
It throws out everything that was said last night.
And I can hear all the progressives watching. That's not my Adventism.
Exactly. Exactly.
There's a big chorus. So to all of you who are saying that right now, come on the show. I want to find out what your Adventism is. Stop being sneaky and shy.
Yeah. Look, I'm here. I mean, it's huge to be here. So come on. Pete doesn't bite, I promise.
Yes.
Anyway, let's hear from Loma Kang and see what he has to say.
America became the country where God created a safe haven for the church because of persecution taking place in Europe. And the church came to America, this land of the free, this land of religious freedom. But in the course of time, the dragon followed that church to America. Rome followed the Christian church to America. And slowly but surely, the dragon and the powers of Rome reached out to appeal to those claiming allegiance only to God's word. And now we're living in a day and age where allegiance to God's word, Genesis to Revelation, is difficult to find. That is the development of apostate Protestantism. But apostate Protestantism teaches us that we can decide when God is to be worshiped, but that's not the case in God's word. See, God called Elijah to repair the altar. God is calling his faithful servants today to repair the altar. What altar? Allegiance to the Sabbath of creation.
And Schley just says, can those jokers name one sinless Adventist? They are snakes.
Yeah, well, I'll go you one better. My mother watched hundreds of Adventists die because she worked in a nursing home for 20 years. And she says it over and over again. She says, I have never found a perfect old person.
Yeah. Or one that feels assured of their salvation, no doubt, as well.
Unfortunately, that's the big thing. But Mum was a full-blown Adventist when all that was happening. So, yeah.
That's incredible.
So I didn't want to concentrate too much on apostate Protestantism, but of course they're the ones that we are going to lead them and guide them so that they know how to be very nasty to Adventists and put them in jail, and because they are the only ones who are faithful to God by keeping his Sabbath. So my question always is, and I keep asking it, what does keep Sabbath mean?
Yes.
I'm happy with anyone who wants to honour Sabbath. I'm happy with anyone who wants to, take the day off on Sabbath. It's not a problem whatsoever. But when you say keep, that means there's rules. And what are those rules? Because this is my salvation that they're talking about here. If you can't keep Sabbath, you can't be saved. Yeah. So I need to know explicitly exactly what keeping Sabbath means. And I don't mean, like if it was the Levitical Sabbath, I could kind of sort of get behind that. But if it's the Pharisaical Sabbath, well, who told them they could change it? And then if it's the Adventist Sabbath, which is a whole nother ball game, these are rules and regulations from Ellen, like you can wade on Sabbath, but you can't swim. Well, I need the exact 100% list of exactly what Sabbath keeping is if I'm meant to keep Sabbath.
Yeah. One of my Pathfinder counselors, on Sabbath afternoon, we were going for a walk down by the beach, all of us little Pathfinders, and that topic came up. Like, obviously, if you're up to your waist, you are sinning. So we had a discussion, and we worked out we were allowed to go to just below our knees as we paddled in the water. And I even felt guilty as I felt some splashed water go above my knee. So I went a bit shallower and stayed around my ankles. But that kind of thing is ridiculous. And Rick writes, man, who here was told as a kid they would be tortured during the time of trouble? I was told that.
Yep.
Not by my parents, thank goodness, but by Sabbath
No.
school, pastors. We were told that we would be in such a time that children would turn against parents, parents would turn against children, we'd be going to jail, we'd be hunted down, we would have to find places to hide in the hills. Let's memorize Bible texts. That's the reason we had memory verse every week, so that when we ran through to the hills and the caves, we could remember the scripture.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I've literally had progressive Adventists say, "Oh, that didn't happen to me," and I'm like, now you're lying, because I know that you're in your retirement years, a lot of them. So
I had 3 little kids and no husband. He was a part-time husband. He'd come and stay with me 2 days a week. And yeah, well,
sorry.
anyway, that's all right. Yeah, but then I went from the frying pan into the fire, so let's not go there.
Yeah.
But I was sitting there with these 3 little kids. They would have been almost 3 and under. And I started reading the Bible, and of course, you read the Bible with the Adventist framework in your head. You can't get away from it until you pull each bit out. And I was so scared, because I would have to, on my own, get my 3 kids and I to the hills.
Yeah. I
was petrified. And, it all comes from the whole Adventist theology. I like the idea. Is it preterism, where you all the stuff in the Bible's already come to pass?
Yes.
and so you don't have to worry about these future things. And the relief that I have felt in the last few years, the last couple of years, because of that, is just not I was one of the best, now I can't think of the word, but, I was always looking at what this guy was doing and what that guy's doing, and if we do this and do that, this is gonna happen. So, I was always looking at what might be bad in the world eventually.
Yeah.
Instead of just living life.
Yeah.
And I've been able to do that for the last year and a half. I'm still mourning the loss of having that my entire life.
Yes.
But I'm okay with it now, because I've got that now. So I'm just grateful for that.
Yeah, and you've just got to live in the moment of what it is now. Rick highlights that it is so anti-gospel it hurts. People who say that stuff around kids now should be reported to Child Protective Services.
Yes. Amen.
I mean, where is it? This book, when I was young, was massive. And schools, churches, Avondale College here turned it into a play, acted it out, and it scared a generation.
We had it turned into a sermon, and a young girl read it from the pulpit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Anyway, let's move on to the next. No, go on. Did you have something?
I was just going to say, and sold and published by the Adventist Church.
Yep.
And seen as a wonderful book,
Yeah. No, it was certainly an interesting idea when I heard it. I haven't read it, thankfully. Thankfully, my reading skills were never that good to be able to read all that sort of stuff. I think that helped me steer clear of a lot of Adventist junk, which was great. So
I just randomly flicked open, because I haven't read this for years. I was taken to now I was scared. What happened to people after they left the cell? I was taken to a small room on the main floor. Here I waited. Father, please don't let me be lost. I pleaded silently. If I have any sin which I haven't confessed, no matter how small it is, please forgive me and make me pure and holy. Please save me. A man walked into the room and sat down on the other side of the desk. You know,
Yep.
that's child abuse right there, making us listen to that and read it.
Yep.
I just got goosebumps. I haven't read that for years, and it just came back to me when I was a young teenager, having that read at Sabbath school and church and turned into plays and reading it myself. That's real Adventism right there.
Yep.
Oh, I hear that chorus. That's not my Adventism. Okay. Well, we were marinated in that kind of Adventism. So deal with it.
And then I would ask, what is your kind of Adventism?
Yeah.
I hear that's not my kind of Adventism, but I'd like to hear what your kind of Adventism actually is. And I don't think it's much different to the other, except just sort of glossing over the hard stuff.
Yeah. Watered
And
down.
we can
version.
worry about that tomorrow. We can worry about that tomorrow, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've just got a couple of clips. These thanks Cindy Lou. She's the one that put me onto this guy last night.
Oh, good.
So let's have a listen of what this guy thinks of the hierarchy.
Some of you are already aware that I am a Seventh-day Adventist Christian. And in the past, there have been apostasies that many are ignorant of and do not know that the modern ministry, the modern General Conference, is the modern day Sanhedrin. In other words, they would be the ones who would have crucified Christ had Christ been with us today. Notice the bottom. Again, Ted Wilson, just like his father, Neil Wilson, notice what he says at the bottom. While, however, Adventist doctrine continues to teach that church government by one man is contrary to the word of God, it is not good Seventh-day Adventism to express an aversion to Roman Catholicism as such. So, notice how he is refusing to call out Catholicism. We see this from Neil Wilson. Well, Ted Wilson did the same thing, because on a panel when he was asked about what is the mark of the beast, he had a problem stating that Sunday by law is the mark. He had a problem stating that. Also, when you look at the book, The Great Hope, when he made the appeal for great controversy, but the book, The Great Hope, removes all fingers pointing to Rome or the Catholic Church as the beast of Bible prophecy, as the harlot of Bible prophecy, or as Babylon in Bible prophecy. There's no pointing of, there's no investigative judgment. There's no exposing Babylon or the wine of Babylon. There's none of that. There's no exposing the image of the beast, who the beast is, or the mark of the beast. None of that is in the book, The Great Hope. You took out the essential points of truth concerning Adventism and removed them and gave out The Great Hope, which only deals with Christ and his death.
These things freak me out a little bit.
What a mess. The Adventist Church is one hot mess. Oh, wow.
Oh, on top of that, who's the apostate? I mean, every single person in the Adventist Church can be an apostate.
Ted Wilson now.
Every single one. Ted Wilson now.
They're all fighting on each other. And look, with the whole Conrad Vine thing, they're all turning against the leadership as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boy, it's not looking positive, is it, for this remnant movement? It's not looking positive at all.
No, not on any level. But anyway, here comes yet another clip.
okay, how is this linked to the omega? Remember in the beginning, I had made a statement that the alpha of apostasy, which we see, was this denial of victory over sin. That it's not possible, that sin, that the sinner, that God dwells in the sinner. In other words, there's no need for victory over sin. There's no need to purification of what? God will live in the sinner. This idea of no victory over sin came through the medical missionaries under the Alpha, Dr. Kellogg. But under the Omega, same heresy will come under the theological branch of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And this is where our ministers go and get trained to become pastors. And many of the ministers who go to many of our schools all over the world come out with the same idea that victory over sin is not possible. And I remember I had said to a minister many years ago, he had actually, I had done a presentation in the church speaking about victory over sin. In the afternoon, he done a presentation saying victory is not possible. And I remember I spoke to him afterwards and I said, could we speak on this matter? And I went to his house and we were speaking. And the book that he gave me back then, I had no clue was Edwin Heppenstall. But the book he gave me to prove his ideas was a book from Edward Heppenstall. This is the man or the theology which many of our ministers, when they go and study at the schools, they get fed from Edwin Heppenstall, who believe that victory over sin is not possible. So the Omega is actually currently working within the seminaries all over the world. Our ministers get the seed planted within their mind, and then they come to the church and disseminate this teaching that victory is not possible. And that's why this idea of victory not being possible is almost permeated almost the entire denomination. That majority believe that God is going to save us in sin and not from sin.
Can I just bring something in there? Danny Bell.
Please do.
Danny Bell said, when you reference extreme Adventist YouTubers, you don't represent mainstream Adventism.
Yeah, I said someone would say that.
And I would suggest, Danny, that you go and read The Great Controversy, which no doubt, I'm pretty sure you would have, but these extreme YouTubers are just lifting exact content from The Great Controversy that Ellen White, in her last breath almost, said, please make sure that that book goes to all the world. And so whether we have our so-called extreme YouTubers and those who are watching saying that's not my Adventism, well, look what happens when you share your own other independent ministry viewpoint. Your book gets banned and shut down. So where are these mainstream Adventists? Where can I go and find their YouTube clips? Please share some, Danny, and we will dedicate a whole show to watching and deciding and finding out what mainstream Adventists actually believe. I can't think of any YouTuber.
It's very hard. They're not clippable.
I've got to bring up Rochelle's. Made me laugh. This is why people think Adventists aren't Christian, because they're so stupid. Like this.
Yep.
By the way, book club is on tomorrow at this time.
Yay! I can't wait.
SDAQ&A book club on After Good News Fellowship, which is on our own unique channel now. Oh, is that the 3rd edition?
Certainly is.
And here's the 1st edition. That 3rd edition is, I do have somewhere here. I think Adrian Anderson sent me a copy. And I haven't fully read it yet. I do need to. Carry on, please, Andrea.
Definitely will. Now we're up to personal apostasy. My kind of apostasy. And you could posit the worst kind of apostasy. This is the one that we were always scared of, I suppose. I was always scared of being an apostate. I didn't want to be an apostate. Even though, again, they don't really give you the definition of an apostate. But anyway, here's another one of those hardline YouTubers.
That got into the details of who Desmond Ford was, what his theology was, where he got trained, where he got in. He went off to University of Manchester, got this degree under a famous theologian, and came back and attacked Ellen White. in the investigative judgment in 1844. And it turns out he's a preterist. If you don't know what that is, you need to know. But Adventists look at the historical view of prophecy, day for year and all that. They're a minority, but we're not futurists and we're not preterists. So Desmond Ford brings this theology and creates a theological crisis in the Adventist church back in the late 70s and 80s. Now, some of you are older might be aware of that. But this is history we need to know about because the influencers are alive today. This is what has influenced people like Alan Davis and Ryan Day. So, as a result of doing the expose on Desmond Ford and getting all the kickback, I said, well, as soon as I found out that he was questioning Ellen White and doubting investigative judgment, I said he's been poisoned by Desmond Ford and the ilk and that type. So that's how I knew immediately what it was and how to deal with it.
So, yeah, I found so many more clips than all of these. There's so much out there. And all you have to do is type in, apostasy and apostate. And I sort of went around, finding things through the back door, of course, with the shaking and those sorts of things. That's how all of this stuff came up. But, there really is a human cost to all of this, and we have sort of gotten into it a little bit. But, you are betraying truth. Now, was it you or someone else who spoke about, the family tension, something about a father just completely shunned the son and said some absolutely horrible stuff? It might have been even earlier today. Perhaps people
Yes.
can, in the chat, let us know
ringing
what
a
the
bell.
human cost to you was. Because I know that it's, fear and almost not being able to move for fear of doing the wrong thing. But I tell you what, I have done all the wrong things in my life, and I don't like to compare myself to other people, but I'm going to. I know Adventists who have done all the right things, and they're miserable. I did all the wrong things, having 5 kids, 2 husbands, etc., etc., etc. But man, I've got the best kids ever. I've got grandkids, absolutely amazing people on the planet. And if I had been a good Adventist, I wouldn't have any of it. And so I'm just so grateful that I was never a good Adventist. And that's the other thing too. I was labelled an apostate when I was probably about 8.
Wow.
Might have been a bit older, between 8 and 10. I had a bracelet. We were living on a hardliners farm. Mum was kind of their housekeeper. And anyway, one of the other kids in the family came and stole my bracelet and took it to school. And anyway, a little while after that, we ended up in town, the same place, but in town. Mum got a job at the hospital. But we still went to the same church as these guys. Anyway, I was meant to go up a class in Sabbath school. I can't tell you which one. And they wanted to keep me down. And Mum said no, put her up, etc. Anyway, they put the other girl, this girl who stole my bracelet, up a class so that I wouldn't be an influence on her. So just because of a bracelet, I was labelled an apostate when I was a kid. And yeah, it was interesting. I think a lot of my, and I know that this is something that they do a lot because Randy Skeets talks about it. He says, oh, if there's a kid that's not quite there and not quite doing the right thing, I would keep my children away from them completely. And the problem is that poor girl that stole my bracelet was because she was kept so harshly in this box. And yeah, I so feel for her. You know, I got off that easily, but I don't think she would have got out of that quite as easily. That would have been scarring on her too, just being raised in such a tight, you know, because
environment.
it's just, and there were so many more stories just like that for these poor kids that were just, tightly bound. Tightly bound. And then, you know, all of a sudden you're doing something you really shouldn't, which is stealing something because your bounds have been so tight.
Yeah.
But anyway, here we go with another clip.
Going further, you still want to ask a question? Well, think about it. Des, what do you got there?
Books like these are root causes the problem. A book like this makes ordinary church people... This is a book by an Adventist lawyer, an able writer who has suggested that a prediction of Ellen White about apostasy, which she named by the last letter of the Greek alphabet, the omega, is now being fulfilled in such things as Ford and Ray. It does not name Ford and Ray, but when Smuts van Rooyen, who works with us, sent a personal inquiry to the author, he did not deny it. And this book causes church members to look at each other because it seems to suggest that there are demons in human form in Adventist pews. And you see, that creates quite a problem. And the church is promoting this book, even though its scholars and its archivists have rejected it and said it has many errors, historical and theological. Now, I must admit, there are many in the General Conference that are now opposed to the book and regret it has ever been advocated. But sadly, the Review and Herald has now put out a second book.
By the same author. Who's the Review and Herald?
Author. The Review is the publishing association that's most prominent in Washington, D.C. for America.
The official organ of the church.
Yeah,
okay.
Official organ of the church. And this book is being sent out free to the ministers with such statements as this. Some of the areas under attack right now are the validity of the spirit of prophecy, the scriptural basis for the doctrine of the sanctuary, particularly investigative judgment, and even the place of the Ten Commandments and the Sabbath, these from influential people of our own number. So it is a sense of paranoia that these books are fostering that do cause difficult relations in the...
You know, I mean, just because Des and Walter were, just because they were very smart people doesn't mean that that doesn't hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
And that clip was, you know, a good 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And little did Des really even, was he able to foresee that? I think back then he was probably still hoping the church would change. He had been kicked out by then. Hundreds and hundreds of ministers had lost their jobs because they aligned with his theology. Yep. And 40 years later, we're talking about the exact same things as if, and you're playing clips that are of only a few weeks ago. And whether they are independent or doesn't matter, it is the thrust of the Adventist message. It's still hurting people. It's still divisive. And any way you look at it, Adventism is a hodgepodge of people that really don't like each other, fight each other, passive aggressive. I don't see love in it. What we were saying earlier, Jesus said, they will know me by the love that you show in community, as in the apostles in there. I don't see that love in the Adventist church at all. Like, yes, every other denomination, every other movement has fights and problems and splits and schisms, but the Adventist doctrine seems to foster, it fans the flames of that. Yeah.
Well, it's all about perfection. It's all about that, being, because if we don't get to be a perfect people before the end, Christ won't come.
Mm.
And
that's right.
It all culminates in that goal. And unfortunately, it's a goal that will never be attained. It's just as bad as Scientology, where they are having to get rid of their thetans and, attain, for want of a better word, perfection.
And every single Adventist, no matter what kind, on the planet can't deny that the biggest, most popular book is The Great Controversy.
Yep.
Totally not jettisoned, totally not revised, totally seen as an incredible book to get out there and spread to the world. Endorsed by Ellen White, endorsed by the leaders. That is one of the main books that the Adventist Church uses to witness to the world. And all the things that you've been playing there today can be found in that book.
Yep. Yep, they certainly can. Well, that's why they use The Great Controversy, because you cannot say the Adventist gospel in a half a page like you can with the gospel. You have to do it. I don't know how many pages there are in The Great Controversy.
I know.
But you have to do it in 500 pages.
I used to sing a song at Adventist churches, and I'm glad I sang it because it wasn't an original one, but it was called I Believe. And it basically was the gospel in a verse and a chorus.
Oh,
and by the
we've
time...
lost you, Pete.
Can you see me still? Can you still see me? Hello? It looks like I'm here, but maybe I've lost Andrea. Can those watching...
You're back.
I think I lost you, not...
I don't know which way. Probably.
But we're back. We'll see in the chat. No, I was still there. You'd been booted off somehow.
Okay.
So sorry about that.
Idea.
I don't know if
it could
clicked the
be
button.
my Wi-Fi here. Could be my Wi-Fi. But anyway,
we were basically just saying that the Great Controversy has all of these teachings in there, and when people like Ford and Ray and these guys try and paint it as a better representation, which I appreciate that they do, they never gain traction. They've never ever... Progressive Adventism has never gained traction.
It can't, because it doesn't have the sanctuary doctrine. It doesn't have the investigative judgment. It doesn't have Sabbath as the high order. They look at, if you believe in Christ, you're a Calvinist. It's just, and as soon as you veer anything off any of that, whether you're in the church or out of the church, you're an apostate.
It's the perfect storm, isn't it?
It really is. Anyway, this clip pretty much says it, and you're the one saying it.
Haven't seen any minutes. So what they did in an office was 2 or 3 of them, and I could probably name them, decided Des was gone. And they said it was an action of the Australasian Division Executive, but there was no meeting. They made it up.
Wow. Essentially, the Adventist Church does not want to have people of leadership who question the authority of Ellen White. And they will do everything to get rid of you if you appear to be someone who is questioning the authority, the ongoing authority of Ellen G. White.
And there's, there's lots more.
Sadly, there's no place in the Adventist Church for a Des Ford. for Orion Day, for Peter Dixon. There's no place in the church for anyone that questions the authority of Ellen G. White. People will say, oh, but she said I'm not a prophet and go to the Bible and the Bible alone. But in practice, that is not the case.
Every time I hear that, and I've heard it a lot because of getting all these clips and everything organised, every time that brings a tear to my eye. I suppose, I suppose mourning the loss of the cultural Adventism, even though I don't know when they've ever been good to me.
Yeah. Certainly at a committee level, administrative leadership level, they have not wanted me there. You may have found this with music as well. I was not welcome. Fortunately, at a grassroots level, I found people that welcomed me. But as far as a movement wanting my kind of people, there was never a sense of home.
Yeah,
I find my home now is our Good News Fellowship every week. That's my home now. And I feel such incredible relief and like a lightness when these two books, and I'll just make my screen a bit bigger just to show them again. The same picture of Ellen, the one that Ron Numbers wrote, and he eventually left the Adventist Church, and the one where John Butler's got a chapter and he is still in the church. One of the things I noticed, and I don't mean this in any kind of an offensive way, it was just something that just kept popping up in my interview with both of them that I replayed a week or two ago, which I encourage people to go and watch. Maybe see if you saw what I saw. There's a lightness to Ron Numbers. They both had incredible humor. They're both incredible people. I really enjoy knowing, it's sad that Ron's gone, but I really enjoyed knowing them both. But I see a lightness in me now that I don't remember having back then. And I just saw it in the both of them. I just thought that Ron had a lightness there that really shone. And part of it was because he was no longer in the Seventh-day Adventist Church or feeling any need to somehow justify Ellen White. Ellen White is at the core of all of this. And it's just tiring to justify her. It's fun and easy and important to talk about her and share the conversations that we have. But to be in a position where you have to justify her and make her fit is just incredibly demoralizing, I think, for people at a deep gut level that they don't even realize. And these guys that know that Ellen White's authority is at best minimal. Oh wow, she started the movement that started a church, a system of medical centers and schools. So what? That's just par for the course, being humans, and societies. But and her as a devotional writer, okay, well, whatever. It's more than that. This is Ellen White as an authority with a last day's message, and none of them have gained a foothold, and none of them seem to be able to, as Frank Merendino says, jettison. I will ask John Rosier next week when he presents his essay what Adventism could have been, I will ask him what sort of confidence does he have that that kind of Adventism will ever be seen. And if he thinks it's very small, I will ask him, why does he and all the other progressives stay then? Because I can pretty much guarantee, no matter the hardship, that if you leave Adventism, apart from missing out the culture and the haystacks, we'll talk about your channel before we leave. Apart from that, which you can actually continue to enjoy, I continue to enjoy my local Adventist friends and hang out with them and do stuff. And if they've got events, I go out and enjoy them. But I can pretty much guarantee if you leave the Adventist church, you are going to be a happier person.
Oh, 100%, 10,000%. And the worst thing is, Peter, it's not just leaving the Adventist church, it's getting Adventism out of you. You can't just leave the Adventist church. I've found 2 people recently with the last names, one of the last names, right?
Yes.
Not my last name, another one.
That was a big one.
But they left the church years ago. One of them's an alcoholic. The other one has got many now I can't remember the word, but she has issues, let's put it that way. And both of them thinks that they're damned as a result.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that I worry about. I mean, we're the lucky ones. We got out. But then there are others that got out, and then we were able to get Adventism out of us.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people out there who've left the church and they're stuck in this limbo place because they know they're not good enough for the Adventist church.
Yeah.
But they, no man's land. Anyway.
Rick writes, I don't feel bad at all being out. I love many SDAs, but I'll never look back either. And a lot of people say to me, oh, you can take the boy out of Adventism, but you can't take Adventism out of the boy. And I know it's a bit of an anomaly that I spend 10 hours a week looking back in and doing my show, but I can assure you Adventism is not inside me and it doesn't color me. Yeah, there's some cultural things and ways I say things, but even that is less and less, demonstrably so. If you just watch the shows, the early shows to now, and challenges don't disappear, problems in life don't go away, but there's a lightness being out of the quagmire of thought, accountability, justification, nasty people, good people pretending one thing in public and behind the scenes. There's something nice and light about being out of it. And I would just encourage you, if you are on the edge and you think maybe I should leave, jump, go for it. You've got friends here that will support you. I think Andrea, I might have said that at some point before you left, and you were watching lots of content from other sites and this site. And when you just do it and you get out, you've got a support group there, and there's places you can go, and you will be all right. In fact, you will be even better off. And you can still have your friends. You can even still dip into a Haystacks lunch or go and visit a church or a Vespers or see your local Adventist choir. You can smile and be friendly to your Adventist friends. There's nothing that changes. But what gets out of your mind is this incredible cognitive dissonance where you either keep saying, that's not my Adventism, or you get locked into cultish behavior and mindset. Get out. Run. Leave today.
Yep. Grab hold of something. Find something. Like the only thing I grabbed hold of is John 3:16, and it still still where I'm at. But grab hold of something. And then from there, it just all happens. And then all of a sudden you just realize, oh, wow, that wasn't in the Bible. Where did I get that from? Oh, it was Ellen. Oh, okay. So it just keeps us, like Miles' videos. Like I watched some of his 3-4 hour videos, piece by piece. So I would have spent 15-30 hours just studying the little bits and pieces of it. But now I don't have to quite do that now. Because that Adventism is gone. And the thing is, and this is where, Sabbath, great, but this is where I can actually think and feel like those other Christians that Christ is my Sabbath. And all of a sudden, that rest that you're meant to be trying to look for on Sabbath is just here now, and it's with me all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for that. And don't get me wrong, these shows are great, but just being able to speak to people in the chat, I never used to. I was always on YouTube, but I never commented ever.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you start getting to know everyone in the chat, and now I've got people that we've got on Messenger, and and we're all at different levels, but it doesn't matter. It's just because getting out is a whole lot easier than going into some sort of a religion.
Yeah.
But anyway,
look, just to give a quick plug again for anyone that is on the edge and wants to maybe get together with some of these friends that we've made in chat tomorrow at this time that we started today. If you go to YouTube at Gospel Good News Fellowship, we meet every week, and we're going to have a good chat tomorrow as well. I'm just going to bring in a couple of chats that came out of our last little moment there. We've got Barry that says, I don't have any Adventism in me now. I just come here for the entertainment. Rochelle says it's worth it, though. So worth it. She adds, I now have the freedom to admit that I don't have all the answers, and the freedom to search for the real objective truth without the burden of trying to make the truth bend to the SDA framework. Yeah.
100%.
And Adrian writes, it's the peace you feel when you are free from the cult. Rick adds, grab hold of Jesus. Listening ear has got a great little image of people running. And Rochelle reminds me that straight after Good News Fellowship, we have SDAQ&A book club. Can't wait for that. Now, back to, where we are reading The Prophetess of Hell. Yes, hold your version. So back to the program, Andrea. By the way, thank you everyone for donations and support. I really appreciate that. And if you shoot a couple of dollars, if everyone watching just sent $2, it just really helps me keep doing these shows. There is minimal money that comes in. I'm not doing this for the money, but there are expenses and whatnot that go along with it. And I put a bit of time in. So if you've got a couple of dollars, that's where you can send it. Back to more clips.
Yes, definitely. This clip is interesting. And I think you've spoken about this clip a couple of times on your show. And this is pretty much what they think of us. Now, I would tell you to study, learn, actually understand what Ellen White actually says rather than somebody telling you what they say. But this is what they tell Adventists to do.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Oh, it's not playing for some reason.
We've got to get this.
Oh, no. Let me try again.
Haven't seen any.
No, it doesn't like us.
But the moment
You might have to read it for us.
Oh, no, it doesn't. That doesn't help us because it goes into the next bit. I don't know why that clip didn't work.
But I think this is the guy that mentions me.
It is.
Something to do with poison.
Yeah, it certainly is.
And he then has a go at me. He says, "Oh, this person reached out to me and said, 'Come on my show.' And I wrote back to him, and then he just ignored me." And it's totally not me. If I didn't write back, I just didn't get his reply, or I would have loved to have him on the show. And if he's watching today, please come on the show to talk about anything. I certainly wasn't trying to palm him off. I'm not a very organized person, and sometimes things just shoot past me and I miss them. But I thought his little ad hominem attack on me there was a little bit uncalled for.
Yeah, yes, definitely. I'm just going to see if I can. I'm going to see if I can send it to you because it is the one. It's the one we need, and it's the one that isn't working.
If you try and reshare it, let's see if that just is like turning the computer on and off again. See if it makes a difference. I think my light's working again.
I think I just did reshare, but I don't know. It's not telling me anything. So it's so we've lost the thing, haven't we? I will try resharing again. Let me see if that's on there. No, it's not.
Cindy,
but yeah, let's try resharing.
Cindy
that.
Louise says the devil is messing with your slides.
Yeah. This is the one we really want. But anyway, let me get back to this and see if that works. No, it's still showing a.
But the moment you
a thing.
Do you have it just on file there that you could?
Yes, I do, and that's why I'm trying to just send it to you, but it's not quite working.
If we take down this one, we'll bring it back up the slideshow, and then if you just try and reshare the screen, that clip only, because it is a beauty. When I just saw it, then I thought, I know this one.
See.
Jane
Sorry, guys.
Jane says we need to. Chat's having a good time anyway, so that's all right.
Oh, good.
We need to splash her laptop with holy water.
Yeah.
Brian says maybe Peter is the one shaking the tree. Maybe I'm the Omega.
Actually, give me just a second, and what I will do is go into the actual presentation and oh yeah, it's lost it. Let me upload.
Oh, it just lost from the file, the connection.
Yeah, it's lost the connection or something. Yeah.
Trail Rider says, I wish I could attend book club, that it's just too late at night. It may be a little bit earlier tomorrow. But yeah, it is pretty late. While Andy is doing that, can I just do a quick survey with everybody? So while everyone's watching, please let me know in chat. I will do a survey over at Facebook, which sadly we're not going live to today, but they have the link, so people are at least able to watch it. But because of the daylight saving shift, I always try and keep the show 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. I move my times this end. Are you guys okay with that? It means that for us here in Australia, we start at 1:30, but it's a bit more accessible for Western Australia, and it's not so bad for New Zealand. So I don't mind shifting my time from either 11:30 to 12:30 to 1:30. But those who are particularly watching in the United States of America, how do you feel with me just keeping it at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time? there is an opportunity right now because of daylight saving for me to make it 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. But how do you guys feel? Let me know in the chat. If it was 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, that does mean that it's a little bit earlier for those of you who like to watch the show but are on the East Coast. So perhaps let me know in chat, and I can take that into consideration. But the program has grown so big, and in the United States, I kind of don't want to mess with the time frame that people are used to, which is 6:30 p.m. Pacific time on the Tuesday and the Wednesday and the Thursday. So let me know in the chat. Back to you, Andrea.
Let's try again, shall we?
Awesome.
Now, if you go to that YouTube channel, SDAQ&A, I mean, this is just a snap from today. Of course, he's all talking about Ryan Day leaves Adventism. I mean, that's big news to them. So they'll sit there and talk for hours about this. And then, of course, talking with people about Desmond Ford and Glacier View. So they just love all this inside dirt and gossip. This is all infidelity. This is designed for one purpose, to lead the naive and unread blindfolded into the ditch. Should you waste your time with this? No. I wouldn't give 1 second. Once you ID what this stuff is, leave it. It's poison.
Wow.
Ultimately,
I'd forgotten that he called the show poison. I thought he was talking about Ryan Day. Don't watch that show. It is poison. Boy.
Yeah. That's what they think of us.
That's incredible.
That's what they think of us. And when I say us, I mean anyone who has questioned on any level the distinctives of Adventism that lead to probational perfection. That's what I posit.
Yeah. I would posit, thank you for a good word, that the progressive Adventists are causing more poison. I even said that to Ron Kelly, and he said, well, not poison. Let's use the word unravel. But I believe what we're doing is actually suggesting that this guy should be left alone. My show isn't about saying that his programs are poison. My programs are actually saying his is a real Adventist message, and that the progressives should leave him alone. So I don't think I think he saw the title. He drew a lot of conclusions there and made some pretty serious false assessments. So it showed that he didn't really watch the show at all. But the reality,
I've heard him. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say the reality is, my position is that he is a real Adventist, and we should get out of his hair.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. But he has said before, and this is, I'm sorry, but I believe it's the cultic mindset. He has said before that he has to be really careful of all the stuff that he has to watch for this, that it doesn't affect him. So he's got to keep himself brainwashed to make sure that our stuff doesn't hurt or affect him.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yes.
I've got a clip here from you and Ryan Day, and Ryan puts it well as well.
But the moment you express doubt, the moment you express disagreement, the moment you challenge that, and in my case, because I was on a platform, a worldwide platform, and more well known, it's to be expected that you're going to get some heat from all of this, and I knew that this was going to potentially happen. But to see some of my friends that I called friends, that I thought were friends, respond the way they have, nasty comments in the post, haven't reached out to me once, and then some of them that have reached out to me and have called me a deceiver, called me an apostate, sending scriptures, repent of your evil ways or you'll die, those type of things. And it's like, Lord, I'm saddened on one sense, but this is further confirming to me many of the conclusions that I've come to regarding this movement. And I know that not all of Adventists are that way. I've received a tsunami of waves of kindness from many wonderful Seventh-day Adventists who disagree with me theologically, but have been able to embrace me and still call me brother, still love me, still treat me with respect. And so I'm appreciative of that. But the vast majority have definitely confirmed what I have suspected for many years about this movement. And that is that what they claim in writing, in literature, behind the pulpit, in their personal Bible studies and their small group Bible studies and on their platforms, and you can just name them all, the claims that they make often is not a reflection of the persons that they really are inside.
So really, these are the wonderful things and the wonderful reason to be on this platform and be able to speak to so many people is because you're not alone. You know, and that's a real big thing for me, is that I don't feel like I'm alone anymore. But I think that's also because without the Adventism, just because the Adventism is gone, I don't feel as alone anymore. And it's just, it's just a new way of being, a new way of, and having all these wonderful people around that are on the same journey is just amazing.
It is, isn't it? It's incredible. Incredible.
Yeah.
Before we go to the final word, just back to SDAQ&A.
Yeah, we've got two more clips. That's it.
Because everyone's watching right now, I've made an executive decision. Good News Fellowship will be 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, 6:30 p.m. Mountain time, 7:30 p.m. So this is Good News Fellowship, 7:30 p.m. Central, 8:30 p.m. East. And that means book club will be an hour earlier. Is that okay, Rochelle? And the others that are watching, that just means that Good News Fellowship will finish at 6:30 p.m. and book club will start an hour earlier at 7 p.m. Pacific time. So 5:30 p.m. for Good News Fellowship on our channel and 7 p.m. for book club. Is that okay, Rochelle, that's watching? And that might suit others as well, making it an hour earlier. Back to you, Andrea.
Well, this one's you and Ryan yet again.
Right.
Kind in his response. Many 1,000 of people have messaged me and said, why don't you just leave us alone? Just right off in the sunset and be quiet. Why do you have to turn around? Why do you have to join the ranks of these critics and just go bashing the church and splitting the church and all this other stuff? And to me, I mean, it's amazing how people can't see the hypocrisy in that. It's baffling to me how okay, you don't like us anymore, you're not with us anymore, you don't subscribe to our beliefs anymore, you've apostatized, just right off in the sunset, be quiet, go get in your little corner somewhere, just shut up and don't say anything else and leave us alone. And it's like, hold on a moment, let's think this through. And I actually had a sister, just again, a reflection of many people that have said the same thing, why do all of these people who always have to leave the church, always have to come back, and they have some kind of, seems like some kind of vindictive or revengeful, they have to come back at the church and start. It's like, we would all, and this is no shade at Catholics. I'm not throwing shade at Catholics at all. I'm just simply stating the obvious. We would all still be Catholic if Martin Luther decided to ride off in the sunset and be quiet with his contentions and his disagreements.
Get out there, say something.
Yeah.
You don't have to be silenced, because that's what cults want.
Yeah.
They want to silence the critics.
Yeah, they don't want to engage, do they?
No, and I'm not just talking about Adventism. You see the same thing in Scientology. You see it worse in Scientology. I mean, they literally go out after people in Scientology. And I use Scientology because it's more of a secular. You could say the same about Mormonism to a degree, but Mormonism and Adventism do have something in common. They sort of have these bounds around themselves. So they've sort of made all these rules and regulations that sort of keep people in those bounds. The only problem is that people step out of those bounds when they all of a sudden find old truths. And that's where you get your Wacos from, and that's where you get your, I can't remember the name of that family, but all those brothers who decide to kill their, not daughter-in-law, their sister-in-law, because they find all these old truths that, unfortunately, these movements all go back to, and that's what's happening in Adventism now. Look at us, we're going back to the real original Adventism. And so that's pretty much my thoughts on apostasy in the Adventist Church.
Well, look, what an incredible program. What an incredible presentation. I really appreciate it. You've given me an idea that I'll run past you, a collaboration idea. I'll run past you after the show if we see how we go. But thank you so much. Everyone in the chat, please thank Andy, and then I'll give her the last word. It's been so good having her on the program today. Really enjoyed it, as always. Final thoughts, Andrea?
No, I'm going to leave all my final thoughts to Des.
Oh, yes. Good.
And so I have had my final thought, but I wanted to just leave the final thought to good old Des Ford, who's done a lot for all of us, I think.
Yes.
And I think that he's suffered a lot for his belief. And I just have to thank him for what he's...
for taking a mighty stand, speaking boldly, rescuing us from a feeling that maybe our salvation wasn't assured. And I'd like to thank Gillian too for really keeping that legacy alive.
Amen.
And infusing her own incredible experience and knowledge into the equation. So Gillian, if you're watching, thank you very much to you. Thank you very much to Dr. Desmond Ford. And after this clip, I will just wave and say farewell until tomorrow.
So if you say to me, Des, you'd include in the church people who have all sorts of errors? Yes, because I love the Adventists. And I love the Catholics. And the Presbyterians. And the Plymouth Brethren. I will love any man or woman that loves Jesus and that believes through Christ alone we can have eternal life.